Hi, this is Danielle and
Kyra,
and you're listening to Scrunchy-Fi, a show by mamas for mamas. Here we cover all the creative ways to make money, save money, and invest to reach financial freedom and live the life you want.
Hi, this is Kyra and my co-host.
Danielle, hi everybody.
Welcome back. We are on for another exciting episode about personal finances, designing a sustainable lifestyle so that you can reach financial independence. Join us on our journey. Today, we want to talk about raising next gen Fi. So that's next generation of financial independence children. And we have two little ones. Mine's 5 and about 2. And Danielle, yours are around the same age, right?
Yep, 5 and about 2.
Yeah.
2 in March.
Yeah, so funny that our kids are around the same age. So our conversations with our kids are probably a little different than other people's if their children are older. But I don't think my conversation that I'm having today is going to change, really. We discovered the FIRE movement before having children, so that's probably created our dialogue to be a little different for our children about money than what it might have been several years before discovering FIRE. Financial independence, retire early concept. Well, let's talk about what are we teaching our kids about money, budgeting, saving. What do we do about these society pressures that put onto families and mothers and just, having kids need the newest technology and the fancy clothes, etc. We deal with that even though our kids are younger. We want to instill today the message that we will be carrying on as they get older. And then let's talk about accounts. Let's talk about the nitty gritty. Like, do we have accounts for our kids? Is it different than when we were children? And maybe we could do like a rapid fire, like mom money tips to, if anyone wants to take away some information and start implementing right away. We have a lot of information on our podcast, but go and check out our social media. We're on IG, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. We're in here on podcast platform. We have so much content for you. We have a blog. Check out our website, scrunchyfi.com. So Danielle, what are we teaching our kids about money?
My gosh. Well, so with my kids, it's almost like I've had to start from scratch. Now, I love my parents, but money is not something that was talked about in a very positive way. There was a lot of anxiety about money. There's a very kind of like a scarcity mindset that was passed down, not even so much like by talking, but it's just like a feeling you get that like money is hard to get, that people just inherit their money. So, don't try or just try to find the shortcuts. Like you'll never get there like the straight and narrow, like there's no way. So I'm kind of taking those and basically teaching the opposite. I teach, my kids that money isn't necessarily hard to get, that there are millions of ways to make money, that, the world is abundant, right, with full of resources. And there are ways that we can intelligently figure out how to survive in that world. And you can slice that cake like millions of different ways. So that you don't have to take a certain path, that perhaps actually taking like the kind of, the path less traveled actually might work out better, less competition, etc. So I think right now, because of the ages of my kids, right, 5 and almost 2, it's more of just like setting the feeling about money that I'm wanting to set like the foundation that like it's not an anxiety provoking thing, that it's something that we can all figure out how to get, that the world is abundant. You don't need to be worried or guard or not be generous, that we can share and then other people will share with us. And so it's kind of like this mutual exchange of energy. I try not to teach scarcity. So for example, if we're like in a store or something and they want to buy something, I'll say that isn't a priority. I'd actually, like instead of saying like, no, I can't afford that, I don't use that language. I don't use we can't afford. I use things like that's not a priority, or I'd like to use that money for something else, or I'm saving for this really fun thing. Don't you think that would be better for us to save more money for this instead of spending it all right now on that? So teaching like priorities and prioritizing money. and then just teaching like what money is, like how
Yeah.
do you get it, where does it go, like does it go into a bank, what does the bank do with it, so like just like kind of
Hmm.
simple concepts like that, probably more for the 5-year-old, to be honest, than the 2-year-old has no
Yeah.
idea
I
what's
know.
going on. But yeah, just kind of like the feeling, I don't know, I mean, how do you talk about money, and like what type of foundation are you trying to lay for your kids?
Yeah, I think it's very conceptual right now. Again, mine is 5-year-old, 5 years old too. She comes with us to the store. She sees, the cash exchange. She sees the credit cards. We talk about that, you need money to buy things. So that's very like foundational. She knows that I have to go to work to make money. So we kind of like kept it in that range. We haven't really talked about investing, and there's other ways of making money. You don't have to like go into work every day, but that's like, let's get into probably the next couple years. But so she understands, like I tell her, if we can't buy everything, because if we buy everything, then we don't have any money, and we need some money to pay for food, pay for, electricity, stuff like that. And then I tell her, like, what happens if you spend all your money? And her response, if you ask her that, she's going to say, "Oh, well, you're going to have to work forever." Because I've mentioned it to her. It's like, hey, every time I spend money, I'm exchanging my time. I'm trying to get her that concept. She's not having to like exchange any time. The world is abundant, all the free time in the world. I always tell everyone my kids are living their best life. So they don't understand that concept that they're going to have to exchange their time today, but one day they will. So hoping like these foundational concepts will stick with them. Like we're conditioning, we're creating new money beliefs. I think the biggest thing is like we're actually talking about money. Like my parents probably didn't have a lot of those conversations when I was younger. I mean, there wasn't a lot of money to go around. So it's like, what do we talk about? It was like, I don't think it was like, oh, we don't have money for that. I think we just didn't even like bring it up. We just kind of knew. So it kind of left money out of the conversation. So it's like, we're talking about money. And honestly, I mean, we have to do a whole nother show about money and our partners, but it's like, I didn't even have those conversations with my partner. So we're in like a whole new world of like, communication with my partner, my family, my kids, talking about money. And it's like, we've never been there before. So it's really cool to navigate through. I know it's really stressful, parents taking their kids to the store and they don't want to do it because like the kids are screaming, I want this, I want this. And, that's that triggering emotion. There's money tied to it. I know I had an incident a long time ago with my daughter that was like a one-off incident. And then since then, it's kind of like, been really more well balanced as she's gotten older, can understand more. It's hard to talk to that 2-year-old, 3-year-old and, tell them, prioritize about money. But as they get a little bit older, like we're able to have those conversations. It's really interesting. There's a lot of things, we talk about like money, but then there's a lot of like other concepts around money. So like we live frugal lifestyles, me and you, Danielle, and we like thrifting. We like hand me down, bringing our food to the park or wherever we go. We're always on a picnic. So like our kids just grow up with that idea. They don't think it's like any different.
Yeah, I think sometimes we underestimate our power as parents to set the culture in our family, right? There's
Yeah.
like the larger culture, but there's the culture at home, and our children are steeped in that, especially when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of power in setting like philosophy about money, and like what our time, the value of our time and the value of our money, and how those things work in our family, whereas the larger culture can be doing whatever, right? And other kids can be doing whatever, and my children are exposed to that. They go to other people's homes and they're like, they have like TVs in every room and they have like
Mm-hmm.
toys everywhere, like why can't I live there, and kind of like bringing it to like a 5-year-old level, I'll be like, me and your dad, like we are trying to like save for a house right now, and we also like to go on these vacations, and also we actually like spending a lot of time with you, so we don't, that house with all the TVs and the toys, like they work a lot. Their kids go to
Yeah.
school all day and then they go to grandma's, so I'm like, but we, instead of working a lot, we're actually spending more time with you, and that's what we like to do. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the time she'll be like, yeah, I like that better. Like
Yeah.
if you'd really ask her, like, do you want the TV or do you want 5 more hours a week with mom and dad? Like probably she'd stay 5 hours a week more, right? But I'm not going to ask her that because that's not her decision, right? It's ours.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so it's interesting that I think we do have a lot of power to set that, and I do notice that it does make a difference. Like
Hmm.
when I go to the store, I think it's a child's job to. I think I've heard something like where it's their job to ask for the moon, and it's like our job to like bring it back
Yeah.
down to earth and be like, this is what's possible. And so, like, of course, like she's gonna ask for like 5 or 6 different things, but if I say we can get one thing, like she knows that, and if we're consistent and it's true, it's like the foundation is strong as far as like we're not just doing this to like be controlling or whatever. Like she truly sees like this is just like who we are and the foundation
Yeah.
we're living. Like she doesn't push against that.
Hmm.
She kind of sees this is consistent. Mom is always like this.
Yeah.
This is our lifestyle.
Yeah,
This is our
very
this is our
true.
culture, right? This has
Yep.
become part of our culture.
Yeah, yeah. Like I mentioned, there was that one meltdown. My daughter was, it was probably a lot of other things that added to it in that store. But really, beyond that, I've never had a situation in the store. It's like, I want this, I want this. I'll walk down the toy aisle. Like she's like, I just want to see, the kid little bait. But she honestly isn't like, can I have this? Can I have that? Because we live a minimalist lifestyle. It's like, okay, these are a certain amount of items we're gonna have in our house, and it's the same for her room and for her toys, and she understands that. She understands this like thrifting mindset and this the simplistic and the frugality. I mean, she doesn't understand what those definitions mean, but she knows it's our lifestyle. So it's like she doesn't know any different. We don't really go out to restaurants. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've taken to a restaurant for several reasons. But for one, it's like we have dinner dates with our friends, and it's a potluck style, and she's like, that's just normal to her. And yet, I've heard from other families like, oh, like you do what? Like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, how do you not, I don't know any other way. I've never dined with friends, you know. So it's the same with my kids. Like they don't know any other lifestyle, so we don't get that push against it, which is really nice because that kind of leads into like these pressures of society to like to level up, buying the new car, and like we're not showing like these shiny things as our priority. So we show like what is our priority for our money. So our kids are not pushing against that. They understand like the value of money. They understand what it's for. So I mean, I know as like as our kids get older, they're going to see the other kids with the gadgets and the clothes and all this stuff, and I'm sure there's going to be like, can I? And I feel like there's a balance. Like yes, like within balance, but we cannot tip the scale. Like even today, I'm like, if we buy all the toys in the world, we don't have money for other things. And that's the same as adults. If we buy all our fancy toys, we don't have money for
Yeah,
other things. So,
exactly. Yeah.
we're just instilling that, like, even though she's physically thinking about, little toys, but it's the same for everything. So,
Let's talk about mom guilt for a
mom
second, because
guilt.
I think maybe there's some moms listening to this going, yeah, but they go to that house with all the TVs and the toys, and I'm not giving that to them, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
bad. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
they deserve that. And I think this comes down to culture, what type of
Yeah.
culture we're setting and what we value, right? You mentioned the value of money.
Mm-hmm.
We also talked a little bit about like what our families instilled in us. And one thing that my family instilled in me was that people with the shiny things, the nice cars, that's almost like it creates like almost like an anger, like almost like I deserve that too. I should be able to have the new shiny car. I should be able to have the new iPhone. Why not me? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the sense I got out of my family. And I think that shifting the culture around that, it can like just totally topple that down, because that's a never ending treadmill. Like it's almost like the hedonic treadmill, right? It's like
Mm.
forever. You get the nice shiny phone and then it's not as good anymore because six
Yeah.
months later the new phone comes out. And
Right.
that's the same and that's the same experience that those kids with all the toys and the TVs are experiencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't see their house as abundant, probably. They see
Right.
those all as old toys. They see that
Mm-hmm.
TV probably as like the TV they bought last year. It's not good as their neighbor's TV. So it's just forever and ever and ever. So I guess my point here is that no matter what you do, you're going to feel guilty if that's
Mm-hmm.
what you're pegging like success or being a good parent on, because
Yeah.
it's going to be forever. And I think that in the culture I'm trying to create for my family and really for myself too, and kind of healing that part of me that does like kind of knee jerk, like, why can't I have the nice thing
Mm.
kind of reaction, is that I want to value time with my family. I want to
Yeah.
value the fact that we live in a beautiful area not the size of our home or what like shiny gadgets we
Mm-hmm.
have in there, because ultimately those don't matter a whole lot. Like, yeah, when my kids get older, if they want to buy some fancy gadget for themselves and they've figured out how to do that with money,
Mm-hmm.
like good for them. But I don't think that is like the bread and butter of life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's really like your relationships, it's like
Yeah.
your adventures together, it's like how full your life is. Um, and so I guess as a parent, if you are experiencing that guilt, I would probably suggest just like checking in with yourself and be like, are you
Mm-hmm.
really guilty about the things that truly matter?
Right.
Like, is that really, when everything's said and done, is that really going to be something you're worried about like 20 years from now?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be more worried that you traded your time to go work overtime to buy that shiny thing that your kid liked for a week, but then
Yeah.
they didn't get that time with you? You know what I mean? Like which one's more valuable there? Now your
Yeah.
kid may not see it that way, but you know, it's kind of our job to kind of carry that wisdom for them that like, but it is, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
they will just lose interest,
Yeah.
you know. So I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I really feel like, first of all, like mom should not feel guilty about anything. Moms, you're like already superpower. Like from the moment you wake up, that kid is calling on you, like whatever age they are, like, and it doesn't stop. Like I went somewhere and I asked my mom if she had some like I was like, Mom, do you have a spoon? And then my other sister was like, Oh my God, see, we're adults and we're still asking you for things. It's like you're already a superpower. You shouldn't feel guilty about anything. I know it's like natural. I don't know why. Like it was like such a weird feeling. Like once I had my daughter, I'm like, what is this? Like, why do I feel guilty about? And I'm like, I've already given you everything I have, and still they want more. See that enough concept. Like I really feel that, I hear a lot from like parents that are separating and they're like, oh, I feel so guilty. The other parent's giving them more, and it's like, I can't give them, the same kind of level of whatever. And it's like, that's just face value. That's just, I mean, and our kids see that, but really, like what we're talking about is like instilling within them values and beliefs of what really matters. And like those items are not going to matter. Yeah, they might cry over it in the moment, but really when they get older, they like, yeah, it falls out 6 months. It doesn't matter. They don't even remember what the other parent did. So it's like, you shouldn't feel guilty. The other thing is like you're kind of like trying to buy your child's love. Ugh, you're trying to buy yourself out of that mom guilt, and it doesn't happen. Like the mom guilt is just it's like a emotional trigger within ourselves to take care of our child. It's like a animal instinct, I think. So it's like no, money doesn't solve any of that. It's not going to solve an emotional problem. If check in, what is that feeling that you're feeling? It's probably moms that are working all day and they don't get to spend time with their children, so they're going to buy their children like the newest whatever so that they can make up for it. Well, save that money so that you can buy your time and freedom, financial independence basics, so that you can spend more time with your children. We're saving our money so that we could take that time off. We're taking, a month off to spend with our kids in February. So it's like you can do it. It may seem big at first, but over time it's not.
And you know what? We could have taken that money that we're spending in Costa Rica and we could have bought our kids the newest iPhones, both of
Yep.
them, right? Given a 2 year
Mm-hmm.
old the newest iPhone, we could have bought them a big TV,
Yep.
right? But we did. Okay. So everyone wants to know, like, what are we saving for our kids? Like, what accounts, this and that.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of mixed feelings about that because I come from a place, a very wealthy part of the country, where I've watched a lot of my peers inherit money,
Mm.
have if there was a 529 or the equivalent, right, of like these education tax advantage funds, have their college paid for, have this money sitting in the bank, etc. Um, and I don't know if it's helpful or not, or if it's something that I want to pursue or not. I
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of being a safety net.
Mm.
I have accounts, right? If something really dire, they really need help, I'm
Yeah.
right there, right? Which I didn't have that really.
Mm-hmm.
So I like playing that role. As far as filling these buckets, these launching funds for them, and just like handing them a bunch of money at 18 or totally funding their college where there's like, oh, it's cool, like whatever, I could just party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know how helpful that is, to be
Right.
honest. Like I kind of feel like the struggle like builds your muscles in a way. So I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
make my children unnecessarily struggle, but I think mistakes are important. Like they're almost the best learning tools we have. Like
Yeah.
if I'm constantly, if they get a credit card and I'm constantly on them all the time about, well, do you have your payments automatic and like, are you
Right.
paying it off every month? They're not going to know what it feels like to be overdraft or to,
Yeah.
get a kick in the whatever because you
Yeah.
didn't, and get your
Right.
credit score lowered. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to hurt them very much to like get a bunch of bad credit stuff happening at 18. It's better than 48 when maybe I'm
Right.
gone and I'm not watching over them anymore. So
Yeah.
I really value, I guess, like learning kind of through your own mistakes, like independence in this area. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do as far. I have no physical account like for them right now.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. I may. The only thing that I'm really like back and forth about is the 529. I
Mm-hmm.
value education a lot. I went through school. My partner like just went through school, wants to go through more school. Like, we're really into it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean my kids will be though. So I understand there's a penalty, right, if they don't go to college. So that's the only thing where it's like, yeah, I really do want to help them with college if they do decide to go that route, because college is just like extremely overwhelmingly expensive, like
Yeah.
ridiculously expensive. Like,
Mm-hmm. Do you want to move to like Europe and become a citizen so that they can go to college for free?
they don't even need to be a citizen to go to college for free. They
Wait,
can
what?
just go.
They
Yeah,
just
you can just go.
show up,
Yeah.
show up
You
in the
just have to
class.
pay for your living expenses. Yeah, a lot of people,
Yeah.
because half of our family's in Africa. Yeah, a lot of people do
Oh,
that. But then you have to pay your living expenses, and I
yeah.
don't think you can work. So,
Oh, I see. Okay.
but maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't know if my kids are going to want to go to college.
Yeah.
But if they do, I think there are a million ways to do it. I could go work for the
Mm-hmm.
college. I could go work for the college,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then they could go for free or some
Yeah.
discounted rate, or they could work for the college, or you know
Right.
what I mean, or they could go to community college first,
Yeah.
or go to Europe, or
Yep.
whatever,
Yeah.
or take on loans and learn how to pay stuff off.
Right.
Like, I don't see that as a failure of me as a parent if my kids decide to go to college and take on loans.
Yeah.
That's just another thing that they'll learn how to manage,
Yeah.
and ignite them to hustle more.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
always be here. I'll be able to pay them off. Like, I would be sitting in the background, kind of just there supporting them. Worst case scenario, they're unemployed. They're coming after the debt collectors are coming after them. Like, I could step in. You know
Right.
what I mean? So like,
Well, they know who to go to because they know, like, mom, she's been telling us all about this money stuff since we were kids. And, they'll finally come and say, okay, what you were saying was right.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like taking JL Collins's approach. Like, he's laid
Mhm.
everything out for his daughter. She's not interested. She
Yeah.
may follow his advice. She may
Mhm.
not.
Yeah.
She may go just play the lottery all the time and go to the casinos. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to forcefully step in and stop my kids. I'll just be like, are you sure that's a good idea? Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Right.
I'll ask things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just responsible. We've planted the seed, and then how it grows. We fertilize, we water, but it's up to that plant to flourish and do its thing. Yeah. I do have an account in my kid's name, and I think that's more so like incentivizing for family members. I'm like, okay, you don't need to purchase a toy like for Christmas or whatever if they really feel like they want to. Like, I tell them, hey, they have an account, like opportunity account. You can if you feel like you want to share your love in that way, then you can contribute to that. Like, that would be amazing. So, I mean, we have a CD at our bank because it has always been earning like 3% even when interest rates were low. So I was like, let's just use that for, the kids' little opportunity fund. So we have that. I have thought about the 529, but also it's like, I don't like the penalization, if they don't use it. I don't know what my kids' futures are going to be. My husband didn't go to college and he went to a trade school actually. But that was actually, he got a full scholarship and I think paid, out of pocket like 1,000 or 2,000. That was it. It's like, what are you going to do with all that other money? Okay, I know you can go and like pay for other people's school, but it's like, well, you wanted something to help support your kids. So it's like, I'm not really sure about that. I do like that there's other options out there. And once we understand more of what that information is, we'll share that with all you. listeners. So you can help, your children in whatever way you want to. I am thinking about opening up like a credit card for my kids when they get older to help them build credit. I kind of want to like go the route of like, okay, if they do go off to college or whatever, I want to get them into like a house hack. Like, okay, you're the landlord now. You've rented to your friends. You're going to have to manage that. But I'd like it to be under their name and they can start building equity and understand that concept. I think building some good credit would help with that. And then hopefully it'll be a tool to like, I might be a little of a hover mom and be like, did you pay your bill or whatever? I already see that I do that a little bit too much. So, but we are all have our traits. So, I do like the fact that like we are just having these conversations now, even though our kids are young and they're going to grow as they grow. There's going to be opportunity of teaching them what compound interest is and all these different accounts as time goes on. One day they'll get a job, maybe they'll get a job that has benefits. We'll be able to talk about 401ks and everything like that. And then we'll just be like, hey, we're your mom on social media. We're on TikTok, we're on IG, we're on YouTube, we're on this podcast. You want to learn about your money? Go listen to us over there.
That might be like the main reason why they never listen to anything about finance. My mom is like constantly being annoying. I mean, I was thinking like, and we posted this on Instagram, so please everybody go check us out on there. The whole short sleeves to shirt sleeves and 3 generations thing of like, the moms who are sitting here going like, I don't have enough money to fund these accounts. I'm worried about my retirement.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like your retirement comes first because you do not want your children to have this great fund in college and then go and have to deal with the fact that you can't retire and they have to help you.
Yes.
So retirement is always first. So this is like the extra money beyond that. So short sleeves to short sleeves in 3 generations basically means that most families that are wealthy lose their wealth in 3 generations. So the people that are sitting there thinking, I can't fund my kids' stuff, most rich families, it didn't really help down the line anyway, because they end up losing it. And I think that's where I'm like, I don't know how much of these funded accounts and things like actually truly help or if they hinder. And I think that that's a really complex question that I don't think anyone can truly answer. But I think the guilt as far as like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna, like fund this and that, or I don't have enough money to do that. I think hopefully knowing that 90% of families in 3 generations who had wealth don't anymore, and hopefully put some of those fears at ease, that really the best account to fund is your child's education, right? Like their brain, what we're teaching them. And they do with that what they will. But no amount of money is going to keep your kids from being in poverty or having difficulty with money, right? That's not going to solve that problem. They truly need to learn how to figure out that for themselves, and they will need to make mistakes. They will need to have responsibility and then fumble or whatever. Each kid's personality is going to be different. Like I know my 5-year-old, she is an extremely careful person. Like I would be shocked if she gets herself into trouble. She is just so very detail oriented. So I'm not super worried about her. I don't know about the 2-year-old yet, so on that.
My 2-year-old, no. No, I totally agree. Yeah, we're, we want to share like what these accounts are for anyone who's interested in looking that up. But I 100% agree. That's why we're laying down foundation of, financial literacy. It's not being taught in schools like it should be. Parents don't talk about it. Friends don't talk about it. That's why me and you, Danielle, we're like here talking on this podcast because we can't talk to any of our friends about money. They're like, "Ooh, don't ask me how much I make." Oh. I'm like, Danielle, how much do you make? Like, oh, are you getting a bonus? Like, are you going to get a raise? Like, what are you doing here and there? Like, we're talking about all the time. So, like, we're normalizing that idea with our kids as well, talking about it. Do you want to share some like crazy money tips, like for moms out there that, maybe it's like, all right, now what can I do today? Like, what do I do with either like for my kids or saving money as a family or?
Well, one thing that isn't so much like this is where you should put your money thing, but it's something that stuck with me forever is playing games that have to do with money. So like Monopoly and like cash flow and all that. If you can start like playing those games young with your kids and getting them to understand that money can make more money, like you can take money and then like put it into stocks and like get dividends and interest, etc. Or you can put it into real estate and get ROI and payments from rent.
Cool.
Like if you can instill that in them in some way, I think that will pay dividends for their whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that is an investment in your child. So I think that is like something to really think about. Like how are you going to make this fun? How are you going to get these concepts like into your kid's brain so that they can take this into their future, then make money with those ideas.
We have 3 Airbnbs rentals and they're like next door to us. So our kids come to our Airbnb. Like they know that we're renting it out to people. And it's really cool when we have families rent with, and they have kids and we exchange in that way, but they understand like we work, we own the building. We help clean it. Of course you could hire someone out, but anyways, like we're showing them that we're tending and caring and this is a way to make money. And we have other friends that have Airbnbs too. So it's like just part of the conversation, like, how's your Airbnb going? And the kids are hearing that. So they understand that's like one way of making money. And then they also see, I work hybrid. So they kind of see me working and they kind of understand like, okay, that's like, working to make money. Like, and then all the frugal things that we do, like we go thrifting, we get hand-me-downs, like they're visible to that and they see that's a money saving tip and that's going to stick with them for a little bit at least. And then like they'll fall back on that one day later on in life. Like I've picked up toys from the side of the road and my daughter was like, oh, what's that? That's not normal. Other kids and family and parents are not doing that.
Well, that's the thing about culture, right? You've created a different culture. And I think that then their expectations come into line with the culture. Like my daughter knows, like, I'm not going to like take them to the movies, get popcorn, go out to dinner. Like that's not going to be like this thing that we do all the time, right? Like she knows like I'm going to pop popcorn at home and we're going to watch it on a laptop and we're going to like play games at home, or we're going to just go do free stuff. Like
free stuff.
It's a different mindset, like even I've had friends lately, like they're going to all these, it's raining. Like people don't want to go and just play at the mall like I do. They want to go to these indoor places that cost, $20 every time you go. And I was just thinking, I'm like, well, if I go, like it's going to be, that could add up to be like $100 or something. You know what I mean? It's like, I'd rather do something else with that money. Although, there's a free playground at the mall. Like,
right.
We're going to go there. You know what I mean?
And, like my kids have learned like that's a special occasion. Like, like it's made things more special. Like when we get the free passes from the library to go to a museum, it's like, hey, it's our one time a year. Like ours only has it one time a year at the Children's Museum. But it's like, hey, it's our one time a year. Like this is our special moment. So it's like it's made things feel a little like more special than having access to it, and that's where it's like it becomes old and like mundane and like I don't want to do that anymore. Like the same with there's like a science museum, they have community days. I'm like, here's our day to go, and she might ask like other times like when can we go there, and I'm like, well, we're waiting for the day when the community day or whatever. And she's like, okay, how many more days till then? Like that's something to look forward to, you're building up to. So that's really like I think that's really great. So awesome. This is such a great conversation. We hope other moms can take away what they want and come find us on social media. We have so much we're sharing with. You're tuning in once a week, but tune in every day on social media. Talk to you later, Danielle.
Bye.
Bye. If you have enjoyed the show, please share with another Scrunchy Mama and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. For show notes, resources, and links to our other video shorts, check out our website, scrunchify.com.